Hello students, in the previous class we have seen the different parameters of amplifier. For example, classification of amplifier. After that we have seen the AC load line, DC load line, how to plot AC and DC load line, and other things also. In this lecture what we are going to see is the designing of a single stage class A amplifier in audio range. Okay, so we are going to design the class A amplifier and that will be used for the amplification, and its range will be audio range. Okay, so audio range at our audio range means the audible range. Okay, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. In between this signal, this amplifier is going to amplify the input signal. Okay, so here we will consider how to design a single stage C amplifier working in class A operation with audio frequency. So in this statement we have given few information. What is that information? The first thing is that type of amplifier is CE, common emitter amplifier. Next thing is that the class A amplifier. What does that mean? The location or the position of the load line is already predefined. Okay, after that it is with the audio range bandwidth. So what is the audio range? 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. So all this information is given to us. All right, now one more thing is that if whenever we are talking about the load line, and whenever we talk about the class of the amplifier, then we should know what is the location or the what is the point of the load, operating point Q. Okay, so here they are saying that class A amplifier, and we know in case of class A amplifier the location of the operating point is at the middle of your load line. Okay, now this is just a various specification which are given to us, and we need to design an amplifier who will follow all these specification. After that, these specification are design gain, desired gain, input and output impedance, requirement of frequency range, input signal, type of load, power source available, tolerable noise and distortion, operating temperature range, cost, weight, size and life period. Okay, so these are the specification which we should consider apart from the above. All right, now what is the gain of amplifier? What is the input, either AC or DC? What is the output, the AC, DC? Impedance requirement. After that, frequency range, it is audio range, RF or any other type of amplifier. After that, type of load, which kind of load we are connecting at the output, either it is resistive load, capacitive load or any inductive load or any other kind of load. Okay, so power source available, which kind of power supply we are providing to the amplifier, that is again very important thing. After that, tolerable noise. What is the tolerable noise? How much amount of noise or distortion that amplifier can tolerate is tolerable noise. After that, distortion is what? A difference in the output waveform. Okay, so ideally you are getting some kind of output waveform, and if the noise gets added into it, your ideal waveform will get distorted, it will get changed, and that change is nothing but distortion. Operating temperature range. There are different operating range under different temperature condition. We know the conductivity of material changes. Now we need to consider the material of transistor or material of other devices which are used inside our circuit. After that, cost is again going to be very important. If we need to check whether that cost is going to fit in our budget or not. After that, weight, size and life period, all these things are also important. After that, it should be noted that all this information may not be necessary in all the applications. Depending on application, you should go for the specification. Okay, for example, in certain application, I don't have to worry about the cost of the circuit. Okay, so in that case, I will neglect that parameter cost. In second application, maybe weight is not affecting my system. Okay, no matter what is the weight, it is okay for me. In that case, I will not consider that specification of weight. Correct. So this is how you need to consider the considerations of a amplifier while designing. After that, now we have to design a single stage amplifier. Correct. Now the name of point is only a single stage amplifier. Single stage class A amplifier. Now what is single stage? There will be only a single transistor to which we are applying a biasing to input. Here there is a supply and we are going to get the output. So this is single stage. Correct. Single stage means what? Only a single transistor and its biasing circuit and all these things. So we need to consider common emitter configuration because it is already given in the first paragraph. Okay, so we need to design a CE amplifier, common emitter. the operation should be class A. Therefore, we need to choose a stable operating point that will be at the center of your DC load line. Okay. With the help of voltage divider bias and also a frequency range of operation is in the audio frequency range, that is 20 Hz to 20 kilohertz. So we need to match all this specification. First thing is that we need to design a single stage. That means there is only a transistor and its required circuit is there. After that, we need to consider a class A amplifier. That is why a stable Q point. Stable means what? At the center of your DC load line, your Q point will be. After that, there will be a voltage divider bias. After that, frequency range is 20 Hz to 20 kilohertz. And all these specifications we need to consider. Right. With all this specification, if we draw a diagram, that diagram will look like this. Okay. First of all, we have a transistor. After that, there is a supply voltage. After that, there is an input. For we cannot just apply input directly to the transistor. That is why we have this capacitor is in between. It is called as an input capacitor. There is a voltage divider. See, R1 and R2. It forms a voltage divider here. Okay. And the output of this voltage divider is applied to the base of the transistor. Collector of transistor is connected to the VCC via RC. Emitter of transistor is connected to ground via RE and CE. Okay. C2 is your output capacitor and there is a final output. Correct. Now we'll start actually how to design a single stage class A amplifier. So the first thing is that, like, see here, different designing steps are given. Correct. What is the first step? What is the second step? What is the third step? Likewise, all the steps are given and we have to follow these steps while designing an amplifier. The first step is what? Selection of transistors. So now it is going to be very important. Whenever we are thinking of the amplification, the transistor is the device, or it is a component who is going to actually amplify the signal. Other devices are supportive devices. Who is going to amplify the signal? Transistor. Okay, so selection of transistor is going to be very important. Now we have to choose a proper transistor which is having the frequency response in an audio range. Obviously, we have given a frequency range or we have given a bandwidth. So we need to choose a transistor who will amplify that given bandwidth. Okay, so we need to choose the transistor very carefully. This may be BC147. This is the name of the transistor, BC147. And it is a NPN type of transistor. And there is another type. There are multiple types of transistor available. These are the two which are commonly used. BC147, NPN transistor, and AC125. It is a PNP transistor. Now, we know very well what is the difference between NPN and PNP. Okay. If somebody is not aware of a particular transistor or particular device, then that person can easily go through the datasheet of that device and he'll found all the required information in that datasheet only. Correct. The second stage is selecting of a biasing circuit. So there are different types of biasing are available. Here in this case, we are using a voltage divider bias. Okay, what we are using? A voltage divider bias. We choose a voltage divider bias as shown in the figure. Like I have already shown you how that voltage divider biases work. This is your R1, this is your R2, and whatever is the output of this voltage divider is given to the base of the transistor. So voltage divider biasing is used in this kind of amplification circuit. Next thing is that operating point and supply voltage. If a maximum voltage source is specified, the maximum peak to peak output voltage can be set. So if suppose maximum voltage is given to us as 5 volts. So what is that 5 volt? 5 volt is going to be a peak to peak voltage. Okay, what is peak to peak? Positive peak to negative peak. That entire voltage is nothing but your maximum output, maximum supply voltage. Okay, for class A operation, the collector is operated at 1/2 of the source voltage. We have seen how class A amplifier works. Okay, so for only positive half cycle, the transistor is going to amplify your signal, correct? Because of the because of in class A amplifier, what is going to happen? It is like there will be a swing. Okay, swing between maximum positive and maximum negative voltage, right? In general, maximum peak to peak output can be between 90 to 95% of power supply voltage. Whatever the power supply you are going to provide, out of that 90 to 95% is going to be at the circuit. All right, after that, once we are done with the operating point and supply voltage, operating point is what? Whenever we are selecting a class A amplifier, your operating point is also set. It will be at the middle of your DC load line. Correct. After that, input output impedance and RE. Now impedance is again going to be very important thing. Impedance is required for the matching. Okay, impedance matching is required. Why? Because if a first stage is going to send some output, and if second stage is not able to accept that output, then there is no point. There will be a loss of loss of information. Correct. So that is why matching is, again, impedance matching is important. So what we can do to match the impedance? So in the figure, resistor R2 and collector resistor RC decide the input resistance. What? R2 and RC. As you can see in this diagram, this R2 and RC, these two resistors are used to match the input impedance. Okay. And as you can see, uh, it decides the input impedance and output impedance respectively for the amplifier. So R2 will decide the input impedance and RC will decide the output impedance. All right. There are certain limitations of R2 and RC due to the gain and stability of amplifier circuit. So again, R2 and RC are not able to match the 100% impedance. Okay, there are some limitations on the both the resistors. That is why, in general, the rule is R2 should be 10 times of your RC. Okay, whatever is the value of your R2, that should be 10 times of your RC. For that, like for example, if your RC is 1 kilo ohm, your R2 will be 10 kilo ohm. Okay, and never be less than 5 times of Re. Now there is a relation. The first thing is that R2 should be 10 times greater than your RC, and it should not be less than 5 times of Re. Okay, so you need to consider these things while you are designing or while you are selecting components to form an amplifier circuit. All right, so this is what is the important thing which we needed for input and output impedance and Re. Now what is the function of, or what is the role of Re? So here it should be noted that Re is in the between 100 ohm to 1 kilo ohm. Okay. Why? Because this range is widely used or like typically used for the audio class A audio amplifier. Okay. The input impedance has the limitation. RC is to be selected such that output impedance is in the range of 500 to 20 kilo ohm. Okay. So there are some explanations about what should be the value of R2, RC and Re. Okay. Once while we are like going to design the circuit, we need to consider the capacitors also. In diagram we have seen there are a couple of capacitors. Okay, now what is the role of that capacitor? Now this point is going to be very important. Just concentrate on this point. Coupling capacitor C1 and C2, right? Now the selection of coupling capacitor is a vital, since the reactance of capacitor Xc changes with the frequency. Now we know capacitive reactance will change as per the frequency, right? Now hence the input impedance, output impedance and frequency response of a circuit are affected by the type of value of coupling capacitor. Correct? What is going to happen? The input impedance, output impedance and frequency response, all these three things are going to affect by the type of or value of the capacitor. Okay. After that, mostly the low frequency limit is decided by the selection of coupling capacitor. Since input capacitor C1 becomes high pass filter with the biasing resistor R2, we have seen that R2 and C in will form a high pass filter. Correct. Also, capacitor C2 forms another high pass filter with the load. At output also there is a high pass capacitor. Now in general, C1 and C2 are designed by using the relation C is equal to 1 upon 3.2 FR. What is F? It is a low frequency limit. Okay, whatever is your lower limit. In this case, we have 20 hertz. Correct. And what is R? It is a DC resistance value of biasing resistor. Biasing resistor, whatever the value of biasing resistor, it is nothing but your R. So by using this formula, we can just decide the coupling capacitor. On this point, they might ask you a question. What is the role of coupling capacitor? Why coupling capacitor plays an important role while designing a single stage RC coupled amplifier? Correct. Or what will be the effect of coupling capacitor, right? Or many question will be formed on this point, because this point is going to be very very important. After that, step 6, we have seen the 5 different steps. Now we have to see the step number 6, the emitter bypass capacitor, CE. This is again going to be important, as just like your previous point. This is important. They might ask you a question like, explain the role of bypass capacitor. Okay, or explain the effect of bypass capacitor. What will happen if we didn't connect this capacitor? Likewise, there are multiple questions can be formed on this point. Okay. The emitter bypass capacitor CE is connected runaway problem. So it's connected in parallel with the RE. We have seen in the diagram, CE is connected in parallel with RE. As you can see, this CE, emitter capacitor or bypass capacitor, is connected with parallel with RE. Okay. The resistor RE stabilizes the Q point by overcoming the thermal runaway problem. Overseas CE provide the low reactance part to the amplifier, amplified this AC signal. So what is the role of RE and CE? RE will stabilize the position of Q point. So if our Q point is like fluctuating or varying from its own main position, then RE will stabilize that Q point by overcoming a thermal runaway problem. What is thermal runaway? If your device is heating too much, okay, then there will be a problem of thermal runaway. How? If there is excessive heat, it may damage the components inside your circuit. So to avoid that problem, we are having that RE and C combination over there. Usually to avoid this heating problem, we have used like heat sinks in a circuit, but this is another kind of thing. After that, hence the voltage drop across RE will be minimum or nearly equal to 0, such that there is no drop in output voltage. As RE or CE providing a very low reactance path, then there will be no drop of voltage. Okay, as there is no drop of voltage, maximum voltage will be occur at the output. Correct. So that is why emitter bypass capacitor is used. If we didn't use emitter bypass capacitor, what will happen? There will be some drop across resistance RE. Correct. If there is some voltage drop, then at output we are not going to get a sufficient or full amount of output. Okay. Why? Because some voltage is already dropped across resistor RE. Correct. But if we connect CE in parallel with RE, C capacitor, bypassing capacitor or emitter capacitor with capacitor will provide a low reactance path. Correct. As it is providing a low reactance path, there will be no voltage drop and we will get a maximum output. Correct. The value of bypass capacitor CE is selected by considering the reactance XC is equal to 1 upon 2 pi FC. Now this is a general formula of capacitive reactance. XC is equal to 1 upon 2 pi FC. F is what? Your frequency or center frequency. Okay. And the value, it should be a smaller than RE. This is because AC current should bypass through the capacitor and not through resistor. The value of capacitor should be less as compared to resistor. Okay, why? Because we don't want our signal to drop, or we don't want our signal to bypass through RE. We want to bypass it through coupling capacitor. That is why the value of coupling capacitor should be less. Next thing is that we need to consider the output phase inverted. Now, what is output phase inverted? When we apply a small AC input signal to CE amplifier as shown in the figure, we have seen the figure. In that case, if we apply a small value of AC input, then what is going to happen? The CE amplifier as shown in the figure, at the positive half cycle of the input, the base current is slightly increased. What is going to happen? Whenever we are going to provide the input, base current will slightly increase, not gradually or not drastically. The base current will slightly increase. Okay. And because of that, what will happen? Collector current increases, causing more ICRC. As like base current increases, collector current is also going to increase. As collector current increases, ICRC combination will also increase. So as your resistance is increases, there will be a voltage drop across resistor, which is connected at collector. Okay. Now since the output is across collector and emitter, voltage VCE decreases due to the inverted amplified negative cycle at the output. Whereas at the negative half cycle, what is going to happen? So in positive half cycle, what happens? Whenever we apply input, base current increases. As base current increases, collector current also increases. Okay. Because we know, like in transistor, base is, what is the function of base? It will transfer all the electrons which are coming from the emitter. Okay. Emitter will emit the electrons, base will forward those electrons to the collector. Now whatever is the current flowing through the base, the same current will flow through the collector. That is why as base current increases, collector current will also increase. Okay. That causes more ICRC voltage drop across collector resistor. As current increases, the voltage drop will also increase. Correct. So that is why there will be a less output. Correct. But in case of negative half cycle, what is going to happen? The base current slightly decreases. What happen in case of negative half cycle? Transistor is not going to turn on because it is not getting sufficient voltage at its base. Correct. So the base current will start decreasing, causing the collector current decreases. So I just now told you why input current, why base current increased. At the same time, your collector current will also increases. Same thing happen when your base current decreases, your collector current will also decrease. Correct, and that will cause the voltage drop across ICRE will also decrease, and the output across collector to emitter increases. So as the voltage drop is less, you are going to get your large output. Thus, amplifier circuit offers a 180-degree phase shift between the input and output. Correct. Now, what will happen? In case of transistor, always remember, no matter which kind of transistor you are using or what you are doing, if you amplify a signal with the help of transistor, it will give you an 180-degree phase shift. Okay. Suppose if you have a sine wave at the input, it will give you a cosine wave at output. Correct. And so output is 180-degree in phase shift with input. Okay. So this is about the single stage class A amplifier designing. Now, once we are done with the single stage RC coupled amplifier, now what we have to see? We have to see a multi-stage RC coupled C amplifier. Okay, we have seen single stage. If there is a single transistor and its required components, that will be called as a single stage. If we have a multiple transistors and its required components, then it is called as a multi-stage RC coupled amplifier. Now, we have already discussed about the RC coupled amplifier in the previous section. We have seen RC coupled, RE coupled, and other types of coupling of capacitors, correct? Now, we shall study the effect of coupling capacitor and bypass capacitor on the frequency response. Now, we have also seen also that. What is the effect of coupling capacitor? What is the effect of bypass capacitor on the frequency response? We have seen that. Now, we have to talk about the multi-stage RC amplifier, correct? Now, remember this definition. When a number of amplifier stages are used in a succession, what is succession? One after another. It is called as a multi-stage amplifier or cascaded amplifier. Cascade means what? One after another. The meaning of both is similar. The output of first stage is connected to the input of second stage through a coupling device and so on. Like it is very general. Output of first stage is connected as an input to the second stage, and output of second stage is connected to the input to the third stage. Likewise, we can just connect multiple of transistor to each other. Okay. Consider a three-stage amplifier shown by the block diagram in following figure. Each stage consists of one transistor and its associated circuitry. I have just told you what is single stage. One transistor will be there and its associated circuitry, capacitor, resistor, supply, input, and all those things. Okay. And it is coupled to the next stage through the coupling device like capacitor. Now here, what we have for coupling, we have to use RC combination. Okay, now we will see the multi-stage amplifier, or we can just call it as a three-stage amplifier. Why? Because we are having three different amplifier circuit. See here, input signal, first amplifier stage. After that, output of first amplifier is connected to the input to the amplifier second via coupling device. Same happens with the second and third. There is a coupling device in between, and at the end of this, we are going to get the output signal. All right. Now, what will happen? What happens with the gain when we connect such amplifiers in series? Now, gain will get multiplied. For example, gain of this first stage is A1. Gain of the second stage is A2 and gain of the third stage is A3. So what will happen with the overall gain? It will get multiplied. A1 into A2 into A3. Correct? The statement is given here. The entire gain is given by A1 into A2 into A3. So this is just a block diagram. If we draw a circuit diagram, how it will look like? See this. This is a transistor Q1. Okay, first transistor Q1. It is having its required or associate circuitry. See here. This diagram, this first section of diagram is exactly similar to that of your diagram which we have drawn for the single stage amplifier. Correct? In single stage, what we had this voltage divider bias, we have this input capacitor, this is input. For emitter, at the emitter of your transistor, you have resistor and capacitor parallel combination. At collector, there is a resistor RC. At output, we have a capacitor. Correct? Now, this output capacitor will be act as a coupling device in between first stage and second stage. This is your second stage. Okay. Whatever is the output of your first stage is coupled through the coupling capacitor to the next stage of amplifier. As you can see, all the three stages are same. Correct, there is no difference. The thing is that all these three stages are connected to each other, and this is how you can form a multi-stage RC coupled amplifier. All right. After that, we have to see some frequency response curve and some effect of coupling capacitors. Okay, so if you plot the graph of above circuit, okay, graph of this circuit, it will look like this. Okay, on the one axis if we have frequency, on other axis we have voltage gain. If you plot a graph, it will look like this. Correct. Here we see that the gain drops off at the lower frequency. For the lower frequency, gain is less. As we are increasing the frequency, gain is high, or it is greater than 20 kilohertz. After that, we have to consider some effects of coupling capacitor and bypass capacitor. The first thing is that low frequency range. Okay, what we need to consider? A low frequency range for 0 to 50 hertz. This is very, very low frequency. For that low frequency, what is going to happen? At lower frequency, reactance of coupling capacitor CC and bypass capacitor CE is very high. Correct? What is going to happen? The reactance is going to be very, very, very high. Why? Because the thing is that capacitive reactance is inversely proportional to the frequency. See here, XC is equal to 1 upon 2 pi FC. Now we have very low frequency. Frequency we are going to put in denominator. If denominator is less, your capacitive reactance is going to be very high. Correct. So coupling capacitor cannot pass more signals than the next stage, where C cannot shunt emitter resistance. So basically, whenever we have low frequency, the capacitive reactance offered by your coupling capacitor should be very, very high. The second thing is that high frequency range, greater than 20 kilohertz. In that case, what will happen? A higher frequency, at higher frequency, reactance of coupling capacitor CC and bypass capacitor CE are very low. Obviously, when your frequency is high, your capacitance is going to be remain low, because these two are inversely proportional to each other. Hence, CC causes to load to the next stage and reduce the gain. So because of that, what will happen? The load on the next stage will increase, and because of that, overall gain will be reduced. Now, for the mid frequency range, we have seen for low frequency, high frequency. Now we have to see the mid frequency range. What will happen for the mid frequency? So as the reactance of CC goes on decreasing, more voltage is fed to the next stage and voltage gain increases. So obviously for the mid frequencies, your gain is going to remain high, and as gain is high, your gain is high of one stage. Okay, then it is going to increase the overall gain. Correct. That is why overall effect uniform voltage gain is maintained due to the coupling capacitor. So ultimately what we want a overall gain high, right? And if we increase a gain of one stage, it is going to increase the overall gain. That is why mid frequency range, that is 50 hertz to 20 kilohertz, is widely used while designing a multi-stage, or like we can just say that audio range frequency amplifier. All right, so this is all about your chapter number 1. We have covered all the points, and in next lecture we are going to see the second chapter, which is power amplifiers. In this chapter we have seen about the different types of amplifier: AC load line, DC load line, small signal amplifier we have seen. After that, frequency response, gain bandwidth product, and what is how to design an amplifier, what is the effect of coupling capacitor and bypass capacitor, designing of two-stage or multi-stage amplifier we have seen. So we have seen all the basic information about the amplifier in first chapter. We have to study in detail about the power amplifier in the second chapter. So this is all for now. We'll see the remaining things, the next chapter, in the next lecture.